At a time when the Chinese president himself is going through the most challenging phase of his political career, from foreign policy to domestic affairs to trade, the problems are mounting for Xi Jinping. He fired top army generals in the past few years, but he seems helpless against the peaceful protesters of Hong Kong. He drove China's growth engine in fifth gear, but has failed to put the brakes on the slowdown due to trade war. And now Chinese companies are paying for the price of its leaders' human rights violations. This report explains why Xi Jinping is suffering a crisis of confidence.
Xi Jinping is known for his unquestionable authority over power. 2 years ago, his name was enshrined in the Chinese constitution. As the Chinese president kicked off his second term in 2018, people began comparing him with Mao Zedong. But the protests in Hong Kong present the greatest challenge to Xi Jinping's grip on power. In the beginning, Xi Jinping distanced himself from the protests. But the sheer scale of the demonstrations has made the campaign too hard to ignore. The Hong Kong leadership has taken steps to curb the protests. But every move is proving to be ineffective. With each passing day, Beijing is running out of options. Many fear that China might use brute force, just like the Tiananmen Square crackdown 30 years ago. But such a move assures a storm of international condemnation. The killings at Tiananmen Square happened at a time when a media blackout was possible. Beijing knows that a mass murder in 2019 will be harder to get away with. Donald Trump's trade war too is hurting China. In a dispute like this, everyone is a loser. And China is already bleeding. Its annual growth has slowed. Exports that were the backbone of the Chinese economy have dropped. According to one estimate, at least 1 million jobs have been cut in China's manufacturing sector. Beijing is pushing for a dialogue to resolve the crisis.
We have repeatedly stressed that the nature of China-US economic and trade cooperation is mutually beneficial and a win-win. And the same is true for China-US economic and trade consultations. It is natural to have differences and frictions in the economy and trade between the two sides. The key is to resolve these issues through dialogue and consultation. In this process, we should treat each other on an equal footing and uphold mutual respect and mutual benefit. It is not a correct attitude to seek the upper hand. The key is that the two sides must work together and meet each other halfway to find a solution that addresses the concerns of both the sides.
But it seems like America is not in a mood to listen. China's mass jails for Uyghur Muslims are now arresting its growth. America has blacklisted 28 Chinese firms. The Trump administration says that it is punishing these organizations for human rights abuses against the Uyghurs. American companies can't export goods to these Chinese companies. Chinese surveillance companies too have been targeted in this blacklist. The list also includes the Security Bureau for the Xinjiang province, where more than 1 million Muslims have been placed in detention centers. Earlier this year, America had slapped the same sanctions on telecom giant Huawei. Huawei has been accused of stealing American technology and for violating American sanctions against Iran. This move cut off Huawei's access to critical hardware and software that is required to make its laptops and smartphones. The problems are mounting for Xi Jinping. China's economy is facing a slowdown. China's foreign policy hinges on a project that is proving to be too costly. At home, dissent is growing. These issues may trigger a crisis of confidence against Xi Jinping. In the 7th year of his presidency, the Chinese leader is going through the roughest patch of his career. Mao Zedong famously said, political power flows from the barrel of the gun. Xi Jinping may have to devise a new strategy to retain this power. Bureau Report, Wion, World is One.